Bit about me. I'm one of the founders of a company called Civitas. We're a network for high growth founders in South Africa. There are about 200 business owners we work with. And really, the whole thesis of the business model is that if you could bring together sort of the top founders in each city to connect and learn from each other and share learnings, you could potentially get some network effects that really changes the odds that a business succeeds. So that's what I've been working on the last 4 or 5 years, and it's been quite a fun journey. We've had a couple companies join us where they were doing sort of less than 10 million. They've now hit the 100 million mark. We had our first 2 companies hit the billion mark this year, which was quite cool. One started when they were doing less than 1 million, the other less than 20 million. So that was pretty rad. But the whole idea is that if you join great networks, the odds of you building a large business change massively. So you've got this weird scenario where there's literally thousands of cities around the world, but Silicon Valley, one city with a couple million people, produces pretty much all of the tech billion-dollar companies. One city. It's insane. How is that? The other company is other great example of this is MIT, one university of thousands in the world. But if you added up the revenue of all the MIT graduates' businesses, that would be the 10th biggest economy in the world. So also just insane, the power of networks. And then there's just study after study showing that networks really do change the odds. So that's what we're really trying to do with Civitas. And I thought I'd just share today a little bit of some of the ideas we've learned around how you could potentially build a network for yourself and maybe get good at connecting with other people. So why connecting? So the first thing is relationships can be transformational. Getting the right team member on board, one customer, the right type of customer, the right investor, maybe one media interview can all really change your life and your business. And I think that's something that's really worth investing in, really good at connecting with other people, adding value to other people, and getting good at building meaningful connections. Not only can be good for your business, but also actually good for your soul as well. If you look at a lot of the data on happiness, a lot of it shows that the number and quantity of meaningful, high quality relationships that you have in your life really are a predictor of how happy you are as a person. So really great book if you're into reading, called Triumphs of Experience. That sort of goes a little bit deep on that. But today what we're going to cover is just 3 big tools. One is sort of dream relationships. How do you deepen relationships? And then putting up a really good system to keep in contact with your people. So the first idea is a dream relationship list. So Chris Vallick, if you haven't come across him, if you just Google Chris Vallick first round review, there's an amazing article around connecting and building relationships. And basically he talks about step 1 is actually saying, what do you actually want your network to look like? What are you trying to achieve? Who do you need to connect with and actually start building relationships with? So a common one is if you're looking to build your business to exit, who are the 5 or 10 people that would one day want to buy your company? And are you having a coffee with them once a quarter to start building that relationship? So when it comes time to sell, they really trust and like you. Same thing with if you're doing fundraising. So those type of things, really thinking strategically around who do you actually need to build relationships with. A simple exercise you can do, recommended by Verne Harnish. He founded EO and has written probably one of the better books on scaling a company, a wonderful book called Scaling Up. He talks about what are the top 25 relationships that would help you achieve your business goals. So it may be you looking to get an MD to basically join your company, and maybe it's starting to think about which corporate employees could one day become MD of your company, and maybe you need to woo them over 18 months, 2 years. Maybe it's sort of your dream client, where what one client could double, triple, quadruple your business. And how do you start building relationships with those people? There's an amazing book on sales, The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes, where he talks about the Dream 100. And he did this with a number of companies, where what he did is he actually mapped out what would be the 100 ideal clients that if I landed these clients, they would each one would completely transform my business. And basically what he did is then map out those 100 and then make sure that every 2 weeks he added value to those people in some way, shape, or form. And I'll talk now to sort of a more modern strategy. This book was probably written 15 years ago, around what some of the people in the community are doing. But we had one of the fastest growing companies last year in the community was selling to insurance companies. And he took this approach, mapped out the 67 insurance companies in the country that could buy from them. And within a short period had landed, I think, about 12 or 15 of those, and went from sort of nothing to doing a decent sized business, employing 70 people in a very short period of time. So another sort of way you can approach this dream relationship idea. So some other people that you could do, as we've spoken about, customers, maybe your dream 100, funders, investors, executives and futures hires. So who would be those type of employees that if you hired them, they would completely transform your business? What do they look like? Who are they? And are you sort of connecting with them? The other one on the marketing side of things is media, journalists, influencers, thought leaders. So do you have a list of social media personalities that if they were retweeting your content or you had a relationship with them might transform your business? Maybe journalists who would maybe be interested in writing about you, acquirers. And then the other one, which is a really good one, is coaches, mentors, and advisors. So who has built a business that you would like to emulate, ideally as close as possible, or who in your network has like some really wise business experience, and are you getting regular input from them? A really cool strategy around the coach, mentors, advisors is quarterly dinners or breakfasts. So pick 5 or 6 of the smartest people you know in business, and what you do is once a quarter you buy them breakfast, you prepare a little presentation, and you basically say, this is the, and you have a 2-hour session. You present for the first 20 minutes, and basically they basically come to you with ideas. What are you doing? And that can be really transformational. We did it at the beginning of this year, where we picked the 4 smartest people we knew, and we prepped a presentation, did 90 minutes with each of them. This is our strategy for the next 1-5 years. What do you guys think? And a bunch of those ideas completely changed the way we took the business over the course of this year, and things have gone really well. We've kind of almost doubled, and yeah, the year's not yet up. So a couple of ideas around how do you then kick off these relationships. So one of the simple ways is getting a warm introduction to these people. So the simplest way to get a warm introduction is basically what you do is you go onto LinkedIn, you see who you connect, who on LinkedIn tells you are your sort of secondary connections, that you basically, who connects you to that person. And they usually give you like 6 or 8 or 12 mutual connections. You go through those and you say, who would you be comfortable asking for a referral? And all you then do is just drop them a WhatsApp. Hi, would you be comfortable putting me in touch with XYZ for this reason? I can forward you on an email or WhatsApp, and basically just getting a warm introduction. The other thing is setting up a podcast. A lot of the value, if it's not just an interesting experience, is to actually build, it's a brilliant way to build relationships. So there's a guy called Gareth Armstrong, who in the early days of Civitas I met for a sales meeting, and basically I said to him, we're bringing together all the top CEOs in Joburg to connect and learn from each other. And he was like, "Well, I really know all of the top CEOs. I don't need any. I've got their cell numbers." I was like, "What?" And he said, "I started the podcast 5 years ago." He runs a podcast with Gareth Cliff. Initially did it on his own, where he just interviewed all of the top CEOs. And he said, "I was very strategic around building relationships with people who mattered." And basically, over like a 5-year period, he had done hundreds of these interviews with basically most of the CEOs in South Africa. But you could see, like, being a bit strategic, what a massive impact that had on his network over time. The other one where we've seen people do it is building a little bit of a social media profile. So basically taking some time to actually go and build up a bit of a following. And that makes a huge, huge difference over time. Where you've got 10,000 followers and you reach out to someone, it just comes with like an instant social credibility stamp. So that's sort of another approach. The other one is a really great one is conferences and events. And the reason the conferences and events are so good is that often you get to connect with the people face to face, find some reason to connect, and then basically you follow up with an email afterwards to start the relationship. So absolutely brilliant way to basically start connecting with people that are maybe on your Dream 100 list. The final two sort of advices on starting relationships is seeking advice. So it's amazing how people are open to giving advice in your network. So it's a really great way to initially kick something off. "Hi, I'm thinking I would love to basically buy you a meal or something, to pick your brain on this type of topic." And the final one is free offers. So we've had a number of people in the community do super well by offering something for free as a way to connect with people. So give you a couple of practical examples. So one of the ladies runs a UX audit company. So what they do is they redesign UX and websites. And what they did would offer a free UX audit and do some outbound. "Hey, we're happy to jump on a call for an hour. We go through your website. We give you a whole bunch of free advice on where areas that you can improve." So it's something that's really valuable. And it's just a really sort of no expectations, great way to start a relationship with people. What we do at Civitas is we run an open event once a month where we invite about 50 Civitas CEOs and founders, and then we extend an invite to business owners that are doing at least R1 million in revenue, that are MDs and founders, and say, "Hey, if you're interested, we've got a fireside chat, free drinks." So we do that, or we do small group events as well around that. It's just a really great way to kick off a relationship in a very non-salesy way. So those are some of the ideas on sort of step one on sort of building relationships, being a bit strategic, and then a bunch of ideas on how you can actually kickstart those relationships. Usually what we do with the Civitas sessions is we pause now and then other people share their experience, what's worked and what hasn't worked. What I find when I do these with public forums is no one speaks up. So I'll pause for a little bit if anyone's got something, shares and some questions, but I'm not going to wait for like a minute where it's all awkward. So if anyone does have any questions, just stick up your hand, or if you've got any experience shares, would love it, would speak up. I think in Civitas, everyone's comfortable doing it. I don't know if everyone's comfortable here, but anyone got anything to add? I see it more as just a peer. I'm a peer like you guys, just sharing my journey and my learnings. No questions, no shares. Cool, okay. So the next one's deepening relationships. So the first sort of, there's a guy, Matt Mashari, who, if you haven't come across him, he is exceptional. If you Google The Great CEO Within, he's written a book. He's probably Silicon Valley's top business coach. He coaches people like Sam Altman from ChatGPT, OpenAI, from Naval, from AngelList, the Reddit founder, many of the top CEOs in the world. And he's got a great article on building relationships. And he just talks about, if you want to build a meaningful relationship with someone, just get genuinely curious about their lives, both their work and their home lives. And basically what all you need to do is meet with them, ask them a lot of questions, then sort of repeat back what you've heard they said. After the meeting, just write down as much information as you can about the person. And then the next time you meet with them, just ask them about what you spoke about last time. And that is amazing. Like, so few people actually care enough about someone else to actually really care about their life, really be curious about their life. And then the next time they meet with them, how's your wife? How's your husband? How's your dog? How's your holiday? How's the business going? How's that issue with the employee? Like, it's actually a really good experience if you can do that. Not rocket science, but a bit hard to do. But I think it'll put you in the top 5% of people if you can go along and do that. Another really good hack to like build on this type of approach is to, before meeting with everyone, think about 3 things you want to learn about them before every meeting. And if you do that, you meet with someone over a period of time, you're going to get you're going to get to know them really, really well. In fact, there's an amazing strategy called the K66. It's a guy, Harvey Mackay. Basically, what he did, he built an envelope company in the 80s, where I think they got like a healthy percentage of the Fortune 1000 to buy envelopes for them. When envelopes was a big business, obviously, it's kind of died. But all his sales members, team members would do is they would have 66 questions that they would have to ask about a company, a customer, and every time they met with them, they would review the questions, just like sort of Matt Mashari was saying, and then try and add a few more. And it would be everything initially that you would know about your best friend. But over time, they would just win the business because they just built such meaningful relationships with all of these people. So very, very cool strategy. 2 other of the best ideas we've come across in the sort of relationship building world is Bids to Connect. That's an actual typo. That should be John Gottman. So John Gottman is the founder of the Gottman Institute. If you haven't read his relationships books and you're interested in building good relationships in an intimate section, he's a world leader. He's absolutely amazing. His work that sort of made him famous was he was able to accurately predict with about 95% accuracy whether someone would be happily married or get divorced like 10 years in the future after just watching couples argue about an issue for 15 minutes. So like unbelievable. But one of the things he was able to do was over time, one of the things that really predicts healthy relationships was this a concept of bids to connect. And what a bid to connect is basically the idea that in any interaction, there are these whole bunch of micro bids happening. So for a practical example would be you driving in the car and basically, let's say to your partner, one of you would say, hey, look at the beautiful view. Now, there are 3 ways you could respond to that. One is you could go, oh, wow, yeah, isn't that stunning? That's what he would call moving towards a bid. Or you could be neutral, where you go, okay. Or you could negatively attack the bid, where you go, oh, you're always just talking about how beautiful everything is. And basically, the ratios of bids and accepting the bids predicted healthy relationships basically over. And what you really want to get good in your micro interactions is when people are making bids, you're looking for those and moving towards them as a way to ignoring them or being neutral. And it's such a simple hack that you can teach anyone in 5 minutes, and it can completely transform any form of relationship. The other amazing idea that we've come across in building relationships is Chris Voss. He's an FBI negotiator, shot to fame when he wrote a book called Never Split the Difference. And the most powerful technique he has come across to basically neutralize negative emotions in negotiations and basically build connection with people is a concept called labeling. The idea of labeling is all you do is you try and verbalize what you think the other person is feeling. So an example he gives is like walking up to someone at a counter at an airport And you can see they're grumpy and they've had the person in front of them was giving them a hard time. And basically an example of labeling there would just be going, tough day, huh? You know, you've kind of seen their emotion, you've seen them, and you've just labeled it. And I think getting good at labeling and being able to basically verbalize another person's inner world in a way where just using these short little labels is a really great way to connect with people. So some just practical examples would be, as opposed to asking the question, how would you like to proceed? Seems like you have an idea on how to proceed. You're labeling it. What are the next steps? Seems like you have a feel for the next steps. What stands in our way? Seems like you have an idea of what stands in the way. So those are just some of examples of labeling. The other thing then is to create a contact database. So if you're going to build a large network, there's just no ways that you're going to be able to do this on your own. In fact, there's an amazing book called Building a Second Brain, which talks about, like, if we're clever with technology, we can actually use what our brain's actually good at, and basically use what computers are good at, and basically use the computers to basically help us track these large number of people and be able to really connect with them in a meaningful way. So those are some of the ideas around deepening relationships. So I don't know if anyone has, it's basically really listen, ask questions, the Matei 66, develop deep knowledge about people, learn 3 new things at each meeting, be genuinely curious, label, bits to connect, and create a contact database, some kind of CRM. Yeah, I'll go for it, Jenna.
Yeah, the labeling one, sometimes yes, sometimes no. Nothing wrong with just asking an open-ended question. Just saying, how are you feeling? Or whatever it is. So just from my side, yes, hacks, but you also don't want to, there's a fine line between hacks and disingenuous. You know, sometimes you just ask a question, how are you feeling? Yeah, so for me, that one, sometimes yes, sometimes no, just pick up the situation. Nothing wrong with an open-ended question to get a conversation going as well.
Yeah, thanks, Jenna. Absolutely, 100% open-ended questions are amazing. Definitely, though, I would highly recommend looking at Chris Voss's work. Like, go and listen to a couple of his podcasts, because I think his whole thing is that with these negotiating with terrorists, his whole thing is very much to be genuine and be authentic. So he actually says that you can have empathy for another person, like deep empathy for another person, but not agree with their worldview. And that's basically what he's trying to do, is basically say, people really appreciate where you just say, I understand where you're coming from. Even when he was an American negotiating with and I think that's what he was getting at with the labeling. Open-ended questions are amazing, but labeling also doesn't need to be done in a disingenuous way. Yeah. Cool. Any other experience shares or questions on sort of deepening relationships? What do you guys do that works or doesn't work? Cool. So then systems to keep in contact. So basically, I think one of the most powerful ways around building a network is actually staying top of mind. And to stay top of mind, it's basically you have to connect regularly with people. So one of the guys who's built about a 50 million rand managed services business, which is an incredibly competitive market. Basically, he has process where with every one of his customers, he makes sure he connects with them once a quarter in some way, shape, or form. Sends them an article, organizes a catch-up coffee, invites them along to something, just adds value to their life in some way, at least once a quarter. And slowly over time, it's amazing how then when the contracts come up, oh, Dave does that, you know? So I think it's really important that you have a system. One of the other things you can do is make it part of your weekly routine. So it's not this like ad hoc thing that you're doing sometime. It's something that you do on a weekly basis. So the way that some of the members in the community has done this is one of the ladies who is an introvert and has built a very successful IT business in the ESG space. Her hack was the first frog she would eat every day was to reach out and connect with someone. So it's just once a day, the first thing she would do every day when she sat down. Some of the other ways that you can do it is basically whenever you feel grateful for someone or can thank someone, they do something nice, reach out with a little thank you note. Hey, saw you did this. Thanks, thinking of you. Congratulations. Whenever there's an opportunity to connect with someone in an authentic and meaningful way, like take up that opportunity, you know? The cool thing also about this one, which I think is amazing, is basically gratitude lists. But instead of writing a gratitude list once a week or every morning, you actually just write a little thank you note, all of the people that you're grateful in your team, in your family, your friends. And what's super cool about them is they get a little hit of gratitude, you get a little hit of gratitude, and basically at the same time, you're actually fostering relationships and deepening connections. Instead of just writing your 5 gratitude things every day, you actually just thank a couple of people. Yeah, the other one is praise, developing the habit of praising people. So this is the idea of whenever anyone in your network or in your team does something well, you praise them for it. And what's really cool about that is you make them feel good, you feel good, and you like them more because you're focusing on their good traits. So really great strategy for basically, I think, helping build relationship with everyone is just getting into the habit of praising people when they do things well. One of the strategies we use a lot in the community is there's a great book by BJ Fogg called Tiny Habits. And basically the idea there is that you have a weekly or daily list where all you do is on a document, you write, when I feel grateful, I will let them know. And then what you do is you review it. And any of the ones you're not doing, you do in red, and then you visualize it a couple of times until you're doing them all as a habit. You can basically do that. It's a super simple hack, works super, super well. So some of the top experiments you could potentially run after that is basically top relationships. So we've got a 1-page doc that you can take with you, but working out what are the top relationships that you spend an hour planning out who the people that can basically, if you built a relationship, would change your life and your business and be valuable relationships. The other one is the connecting tiny habits, which I kind of just spoke about, which is basically all the tiny habits around connecting. So these become like a secondhand thing. Do this for a couple of weeks and months where you're reviewing these tiny habits every day until they become secondhand, automatic. Don't have to think about it when you're interacting with people. And the final one is what I do with my relationships is I have a folder called my friend notes. And basically what my friend notes are is whenever I meet with anyone, I just create a document. So say I was meeting with Jenna, I would create a document, Jenna friend notes. And every time I met with them, all I then do is write date of meeting and then everything that I can remember from the meeting that was relevant. And next time I meet with Jenna, 5 minutes before the meeting, I just go read that document. Basically just build that up over time. And that means that, one, I'm remembering all the small little details, I'm caring about them. And it's just a great way to basically train your brain to be a little bit better at listening and connecting, but also then it's a simple sort of cheap, easy CRM where it's just like a folder with a whole bunch of Google Docs. You don't have to go buy any CRM software. It's just labeled with the person's name. Super simple and easy. And let me just add the friend notes. So that is basically some of the good ideas we've come across around connecting. If any of you guys would like to connect with me, you're more than welcome to reach out. Basically, we do offer a free trial at Civitas, or I'm just happy to help pay it forward with anyone if I can help in any way, shape, or form. So feel free to basically reach out and connect. And hopefully some of those ideas were valuable for you guys today.
Paul, thank you very much. Really, really much appreciated. Please excuse my attire. That's why my camera was off. Thank you. And Ariella says apologies for not being here today. She's at a conference. Anybody have any questions? Anybody would like to go through a role play, something with Paul?
Well, I definitely don't want to role play, but I do want to say that these are things that I feel like maybe I do quite, there are a lot of the things you said, I'm like, oh yeah, I do that in a very kind of organic way. And what was interesting was those are actual business networking skills, and I can be a lot more intentional about following through with them. We had a lovely Alexander Technique class here last night, and now I'm thinking, okay, so it's not just, you know, tick, that went well, it's done. Now I'm going to be just a lot clearer and think through, how do I then follow up on the people that came and use that face-to-face time to build deeper relationships and a network, so that the next class, it's not like I'm starting from scratch all over again. Hey, who's interested? This is what we're running. This is what we're doing. Those are my people. And so just to foster a lot of those connections, but yeah, with more intention. So there was a lot of things, Paul, that were very useful for me to think through. Thank you.
Amazing. Awesome, Karen. That sounds just a little thing that we've done, as well as a couple of our members have done, which has been really great, is just thinking a little bit strategic around how do you add value to people's lives with every engagement, like whether they pay you or not. And I think if when thinking about follow-up, I don't know if you guys have been through the process where people follow up with you and you feel harassed, like, that's not great. Where if you are following up with just value, where people are going every time, they're getting a good feeling because you're going, hey, here's the value. So we've got really good at thinking around when we engage with our customers, how do we just add value as opposed to saying, hey, I want something from you.
Yeah.
And usually what they do is they basically, when they're interested, they come, you know, and I think it's also a fun way to run a business where every interaction is like, how do you improve the lives of people you touch? And that's like a really cool approach. Yeah, so don't know.
No, exactly. And so the follow-up question I'm thinking from last night's class is to pick one of the concepts that we introduced, and nobody took notes, it's all very practical, but to then put that in the WhatsApp and say, hey, and just remember, this was one of the ideas, and I hope that it's something that's useful to you in the rest of the week.
Yeah, what we often will do is just also ask for a little bit of feedback, because then you get where they at. Like Jenna was saying, open-ended questions. So hey, here's a little concept, maybe you want to do it, maybe some feedback. So Alana has a question. Not having the guts to do a one-on-one relation. I want to sell training courses to these contexts, but would feel salesy. Alana, do you want to just give me 2 minutes of context there? Hey? Do you mind speaking up?
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so I'm in the franchising industry, so it's a very niche market, and I do interviews with CEOs of different franchise organizations on, like, say, a monthly basis. So I have developed contacts with them. Plus, Nedbank sponsors an event that I run for kind of executives of franchise organizations. There are about like 20 of them that attend, but I'm not strategic at all. I kind of do these things and I let go of it. I don't know, I just don't seem to have that wherewithal to follow up, or guts even though I'm interacting with them on these kind of platforms. I can't seem to follow up, but you have given me great tips today.
So Alana, I'll talk a little bit around some ideas there. Imagine that basically customers would only buy from you the 12th time they engage with you. Okay?
Yeah.
What would those 11 interactions have to be non-salesy, but all of them built trust? They added some kind of value, and basically what, like literally creating a list of these are the 12 interactions I'm going to go through with each one of these, like almost like a funnel I'm going to walk them through. So an example there might be you're going to invite them to this breakfast. The next thing what you could potentially do is there an amazing sales article that you've written that could be really valuable that you could potentially share? Hey, I came across this, thought you might find it interesting. Other examples might be a free sales audit of sorts. Hey, we've got this free sales audit. Basically, it's validated. Like just a whole bunch of tools and ways that you could potentially add a lot of value to them.
Yeah.
And then like open up in a soft way that, hey, would you be interested in hearing a little bit more about what we do? So that's kind of the way when I'm selling and I'm connecting with someone, I'm acutely aware that I never want to sell unless they want to be sold.
Right.
So it's just about engaging with them, adding value, and then saying, hey, if you're interested, I can share a little bit about what we do sometime. And they'll either, you'll see, they'll either be yes, like that, that's a bit to connect. They'll either be, yeah, I'd love to know a little bit more how it works.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be salesy. It just has to be a sort of a soft question like that that might make it a little bit easier where, hey, we do this cool sales audit. Maybe you'd be interested in having it done, or I'd love to hear a little bit more about your business and I can share a little bit about how we operate. You know, I don't know if those questions might make it a little bit easier.
Right. I am a qualified business and executive coach. So I thought of maybe offering them some free coaching. I don't know how that would sound to them.
So what I find with the few free coaching offers is they come across a little bit presumptuous that, hey, I can fix your business straight out of the bat. Because I get quite a bit of those from like on LinkedIn. You get hit up with the like, hey, I'll offer you like a free coaching session. And it just is, it's not, it just being seen as like a sales technique that, hey, I can meet with you for an hour and I'm just going to add a world of value to your life. Where I think if it's a little bit more like, I've built a tool and put some real effort into something that's a bit more strategic as opposed to just, I'm going to give you half an hour of my time that's going to be amazing. Especially if you don't have a big reputation, that might come across as a little bit more value adding, especially that the whole free sales call is basically done by like hundreds of coaches at the moment. You know, every CEO's got 20 of those messages before.
But I'd offer them like a 4-week proper coaching, you know, like a full 4-week or six sessions of coaching, say.
Yeah, maybe. I think that it's probably a longer offline conversation around how you design an offer that speaks to, I mean, who's the ideal target market and basically what size businesses are you going after, I think would depend on and how you phrase it. But yeah, I think you could pull it off. The danger I would have there is that I would worry about how much effort you would have to put in for each sale. So it's kind of like you don't want to be...
All right. Okay. So what you're saying is rather try get them to have, say, a half an hour meeting with me so we can chat. But before that, even create a funnel of, say, other conversations that could bring that to being.
Yeah, 100%. I was thinking that you use the structure and the tools to add value as opposed to just like, hey, I can just add value. Where I think the free offer that I spoke about, a lot of the people that have pulled that off have done it with some kind of tool. So, hey, we'll do a free audit, 90-minute audit on all best practice around how you're comparing against best practice. It's not just like, hey, I'm going to do a coffee with you and give you some coaching ideas. You know, it's more
Yeah.
like, hey, I've actually put some real effort into like a tool that's valuable, and you're going to walk out with some real takeaways. You know, I'm going to make the session like really worthwhile of your time.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much.
Yeah, pleasure. Hey, I hope that was a little bit helpful.
Yes,
Um,
yes, most definitely. Thank you.
Cool. Anyone else got anything we can help with? We do have like a database. If you do want to go off the networking topic, got a database of like 2001 pages that I've just shared 2 of. So most business challenges we've probably seen, and I can maybe share with you something that might help. So if you do, we've got 15 minutes. If you do have any business challenges, speak up, and maybe I can save you some time by sharing what's worked for other business owners.
Hi, Paul.
Hi.
Thank you for the session and the valuable insights. So I've got a question like regarding first time contact connection on LinkedIn. So I've got a list of like companies that I would like to target or do business with. And then I go into Sales Navigator, and then I'm able to see the people who are in positions that I would like to establish contact with. So I've got like a post, and then I will email, and thereafter I request like send an invitation like to connect. So my question is, in terms of that order, should I first request, send an invitation to connect, and thereafter then email my sales pitch?
Cool. So one of the members of our community is probably the top LinkedIn guy in the country. And I'm going to share with you 2 of his sessions that he did, that'll give you sort of a more detailed overview on how you would go about basically doing this. Let's just try to find this other one. But the big idea there is that InMail actually doesn't get hugely good results. So my view would be, or what Renier teaches, is that what he does is he basically will like and comment on the person's posts a couple of times, then do a connection request, then add some value. So he'll do like 10 to 15 touch points before he would ask for a meeting, where he's just engaging and actually building up the relationship. My other thought on sort of LinkedIn outbound is working out how you can add some kind of real value if you wanted to do just a straight connection. So some kind of offer that's like, oh, that would be a valuable thing to connect, and it's not salesy. It's just, I'm just adding some value to your life. And thinking through that, as opposed to, I'm going to send an email that like just being straight, like, how do I just do something that adds value to their lives? And then opening with that thing. And I think it's worth testing with a couple of people before just going out, actually having a conversation with a couple of business owners. Because some of those things, like I said with Lana earlier on, if it's like, people are offering too much, if you're offering too much value, it's a bit weird. People don't want to connect. It has to be in the space between, okay, it's going to add some little bit of value and I feel comfortable, versus, hey, I'm going to give, it's like kind of weird if someone just messaged you out of the blue and says, hey, I'm going to give you 1,000 Rand for free. It's like, it's going to raise a bunch of red flags. So it's about getting the offer right, that people go, okay, cool, that's great. I'd love to like hear more, to start the conversation. Don't know if that's helpful. It depends, as I say, there's not like easy answers, but I'm going to, I think, go through Renier's 2 webinars. They're amazing. And he just gives the playbook, and they do this for many of the top CEOs in the country. The other thought I would have there is make sure, invest a lot in actually getting your profile right. So when someone clicks on it, they're like, wow, okay, this is someone I'd actually like to connect with.
Okay, thank you. Thanks so much.
Pleasure.
Anybody
Cool.
else? Any other questions?
Fantastic, guys. Well, good luck. And yeah, lovely to connect with everyone.
Paul, we'd just like to put up the survey if everybody